Why is Krishna called a complete incarnation of God? There is no other reason but one, and that is total emptiness. Whoever is empty is whole. Emptiness is the foundation of wholeness. Rightly said, emptiness alone is whole. Can you draw a half emptiness? Even geometry cannot draw a half zero. There is no such thing as a half zero. Zero or emptiness is always complete, whole. Part emptiness has no meaning whatever. How can you divide emptiness? And how can it be called emptiness if it is divided into parts? Emptiness is irreducible, indivisible, and where division begins, numbers begin. Therefore, number 1 follows 0. 1, 2, and 3 belong to the world of numbers, and all numbers arise from 0 and end to 0. 0 or emptiness alone is whole. He who is empty is whole, and it is significant that Krishna is called whole because this man is absolutely empty, and only he who is choiceless can be empty. One who chooses becomes something. He accepts being somebody, he accepts somebodyness. If he says he is a thief, he will become somebody. His emptiness will be no more. If he says he is a saint, his emptiness is destroyed. This person has accepted that he is something, is somebody. Now somebodyness has entered and nothingness is lost. If someone asks Krishna who he is, he cannot answer the question meaningfully. Whatever answer he gives will bring choice in, and it will make something or somebody of him. One who really wants to be all must be prepared to be nothing. Jain monks have a code, a maxim among themselves. They said, one who longs to be everywhere must not be anywhere. One who wants to be all cannot afford to be anything. How can he be something? There is no congruity between all and something. They don't go together. Choicelessness brings you to the emptiness, to nothingness. Then you are what you are, but you cannot say who you are or what you are. For this reason, when Arjuna asked Krishna who he is, instead of answering his question, he reveals himself, his real being to him. In that revelation, he is all and everything. The deepest significance of his being whole lies in his utter emptiness. One who is something or somebody will be in difficulty. His very being something will become his bondage. Life is mysterious. It has its own laws. If I choose to be something, this something will become my prison. There is a beautiful anecdote from the life of Kabir. Every day, a group of people gather at Kabir's place to listen to his words of wisdom. At the end of the satsang, Kabir always invited them to eat with him before going home. Eventually, it became a great difficulty. Kabir's son, Kamal, came to him and said, "It is becoming too much now. We can no longer bear the burden of feeding so many people every day. We must buy everything on credit and are now heavily in debt." Kabir said, "Why don't you borrow more?" "But who is going to repay it?" Kamal said. Then his father said, "One who gives will repay it. Why should we worry about it?" Kamal could not understand what his father meant. He was a worldly man. He said, "This answer won't do. It's not a spiritual matter. Those who lend us money ask for repayment. If we fail to repay them, we will be seen to be dishonest." To this, Kabir simply said, "Then let us be seen so. What is wrong with it? What if people call us dishonest?" Kamal could not take it and he said, "It is too much. I can't put up with it. Just stop inviting people to dinner, that's all." Kabir then said, "If it comes to this, so be it." The next day, people came to listen to Kabir again, and as usual, he invited them to eat with him. His son reminded him of his unfulfilled promise to stop feeding the visitors. Kabir said, I can't give you my word because I don't want to bind myself to anything. I live in the moment. I let what happens in the moment happen. If somebody if someday I don't ask them to stay to dinner, it will be so. But as long as I happen to invite them, I will invite them. In desperation, Kamal said, it means that I will now have to resort to stealing because nobody is prepared to give us credit anymore. What else can I do? Kabir said, grinning, you fool, why didn't you think of this before? It would have saved us the trouble of borrowing. Kamal was simply amazed to hear his father say this. He was known as a wise man, a sage, who always gave people profound advice. What is the matter with him? He wondered. Then he thought that maybe his father was just playing a joke, so he decided to put it to a test. When the whole village was asleep late at night, Kamal awakened his father and said, I am going to steal. Will you accompany me? Kabir said, now that you have awakened me, I should go with you. Kamal was startled once again. He couldn't believe his father would agree to steal. But he was Kabir's son, and he didn't like to withdraw what he had said. So he decided to see the whole of this joke or whatever it was through to the end. Kamal walked to the back of a farmer's house, his father following him, and he began to break through the wall. Kabir was standing silently near him. Kamal still expected his father to call off the whole thing as a joke, and at the same time he was afraid. Kabir said, why are you afraid, Kamal? What else can I be when I am going to commit theft? He replied, isn't it ironical to suggest I should not be afraid while stealing? Kabir said, it is fear that makes you feel guilty, that makes you think you are stealing. Otherwise, there is no reason to think you are a thief. Don't fear, just do your job rightly. Otherwise, you will needlessly disturb the sleep of the entire family. Somehow, Kamal drilled a hole in the wall, still hoping his father would tell him to stop. Then he said, now let's go inside. And Kabir readily joined him and went inside the house. They had not gone there to steal money. They only wanted grain. So they picked up a bag of wheat and left the house. When they were out again, Kabir said to his son, now that dawn is almost here, it would be good if you went and informed the family that we are taking a bag of wheat away with us. This again startled Kamal, and he exclaimed, what are you saying? We are here as thieves, not as merchants. But Kabir said, why make them worry unnecessarily about this missing of bag of wheat? Let them know where it is going. Kabir's followers have completely ignored this odd episode. They never mentioned it because it is so incomprehensible. Given this event, deciding whether Kabir was a sage or a thief would be difficult. Certainly, a theft has been committed, hence he could not be charged as a thief. But his being wise is equally indisputable because first he asks Kamal not to fear and then to inform the family about it so they are not put to unnecessary trouble. Kamal then warned Kabir, but if I inform the family, we will be known as thieves. And Kabir had very innocently said, since theft has happened, we are thieves. They will not be wrong to think of us as thieves. Kamal had again warned, not only will the family know, but the whole village will come to know that you are a thief. Your reputation will be gone. No one will come to visit you again. And Kabir had said, then your troubles will be over. If they don't come, I will not have to ask them to eat with us. Kamal could not understand it. The whole episode was so paradoxical. Krishna is complete in another sense. His life encompasses all there is to life. It seems impossible how a single life could contain so much all of life. Krishna has assimilated all that is contradictory, utterly contradictory in life. He has absorbed all the contradictions of life. You cannot find a life more inconsistent than Krishna's. There is a consistency running through the life of Jesus. So is Mahavira's life consistent. There is a logic, a rhythm, a harmonic system in the life of Buddha. If you can know a part of Buddha, you will know all of him. Ramakrishna has said, "No one sage and all sages are known." But this rule does not apply to Krishna. Ramakrishna has said, "Know a drop of seawater and all the sage known." But you can't say it about Krishna. The taste of seawater is the same all over. It is salty. But the waters of Krishna's life are not all salty. They can be sweet in places, and maybe a single drop contain more than one flavor. Really, Krishna comprises all the flavors of life. In the same way, Krishna's life represents all the arts of existence. Krishna is not an artist because an artist knows only one part or perhaps a few. Krishna is art itself that completes him from every side in every way. That is why those who knew him had to resort to all kinds of exaggeration to describe him. With others, we can escape exaggeration, or we have to exaggerate a particular facet of their lives. Still, we find ourselves in real difficulty when we come to say something about Krishna. Even exaggeration does not say much about him. We can portray him only in superlatives. We cannot do without superlatives, and our difficulty is greater when we find the superlative opposites too, because he is cold and hot together. In fact, water is hot and cold together. The difficulty arises when we impose our interpretation on it. We separate hot from cold. If we ask water itself whether it is hot or cold, it will simply say, "To know me, you only have to put your hand in me, because it is not a question of whether I am hot or cold. It is really a question of whether you are hot or cold. If you are warm, the water will seem cold. If you are cold, the water will seem hot. Its heat or coldness is relative to you." You can conduct an experiment. Warm one of your hands by exposing it to a fire and cool your other hand on a piece of ice, and then put both hands together into a bucket of water. What will you find? Where one hand will say the water is cold, the other will say the opposite, and it will be so difficult for you to decide if the same water is hot or cold. You come upon the same kind of difficulty when you try to understand Krishna. It depends on you and not on Krishna, how you see him. If you ask Radha, who is in deep love with him, she will say something that will be entirely her own vision of Krishna. Maybe she does not call him a complete God, or maybe she does, but whatever she says depends on her, not on Krishna. So it will be a relative judgment. If sometimes Radha come across Krishna dancing with another woman, she will find it hard to accept him as a god. Then Krishna's water will feel cold to her. Maybe she doesn't feel any water at all. But when Krishna is dancing with Radha, he dances so totally with her that she feels he is wholly hers. Then she can say that he is God himself. Every Radha, when her lover is wholly with her, feels so in her bones. But the same person can look like a devil if she finds him flirting with another woman. These statements are relative, they cannot be absolute.